So we are doing a graph now. Let's look at the question that we have been given in this particular case. So we are told that 361,948 candidates wrote mathematical literacy paper 1 in 2016. The paper had a total of 150 marks, and this is not it's the marks you are going to be getting for your papers. And it says to us the candidates had 3 hours to complete the paper. The graph below shows the average percentage mark. Again, we are given percentage, and we're given average again over there. So do know what your average is, do know what percentage is, and it's per paper on this. So it says to us, the graph below shows the average mark per question. So these are the marks that are given per question for this particular paper. So please, if you had a bit of a when you're asking yourself, what does this mean? Read your question again. As you saw, I had to go read my question again. Let's go down and see the questions that we have been given. Use the information and the graph above to answer the following questions. Name the type of graph used to represent the data. Coming back. Whenever you're going into your exam, again, know the different types of graphs. It's really, really important that you know the different types of graphs. Why do I say that? You won't always get a bar graph. You won't always get a histogram. You won't always get a pie chart. So don't cram one little graph and then think, oh my goodness, this is it. Okay? Go into your exam knowing all the different types of graphs. You will ace that exam. Let's look at what a bar graph is. I'm saying this is a bar graph. Why am I saying this is a bar graph? Let's go in and look at the rules of what a bar graph is. The first thing you need to know about a bar graph is a bar graph does not touch this vertical axis over here. It doesn't touch the vertical axis. The next thing you need to know about a bar graph is that the spaces in between the graphs need to be equal. These spaces over here need to be equal. Again, not touching that vertical there on the side. Next thing you need to know about bar graphs, the bars themselves need to be equal. These bars need to be equal. So whenever you are asked to draw a bar graph, and this is now me helping you in terms of whenever you are asked to draw a bar graph, the bars need to be equal. We need to have a title for our graph. If your graph doesn't have a title, you need to give your graph a title. You need to label your axis. There we go. We've labeled, it's been labeled for us. Sometimes you won't be given this, guys. You need to draw it for yourself. So you need to know how to do all of that. And that's why I went there and I made it all dirty like that, so that I could explain what you need to do whenever you're drawing it. Drawings have been some of the most difficult thing for learners. Name the type of graph. It's a bar graph. So I'm going to write it. Okay. I almost wanted to do something. So there we go. It's a bar graph. Those are the easiest 2 marks you are ever going to get. It's a bar graph. So 1.4.2, express the number of candidates who wrote this paper in words. Let's come back to that. You see, sometimes I find that with learners, whenever they're given a number. So for instance, we've been given a nice big lacquer number over here. A learner would go 361,948. That is not on. You need to know how to say your numbers out loud. Why? Because one day you're going to be asked to write it in words. And you never know when that day is going to come. The day has come. Let's write it out in words. You can't really go 361,948. You need to go and write it out. Let's go write it out. So 300 and 61. Thousand 948. So you will decide whether you write this 40 or this 40. You get it right either way. Stunning. 1.4.3. 1.4.3. Identify the question in which the candidates obtain the second lowest average. So the second lowest average would be us counting from smallest to biggest, lowest to highest. So let's go see. This is the lowest. And then the second lowest would be question 5. Question 5. And the last one. Look at how easy, guys, how easy that was. And I'm not saying it's always going to be this easy, but whenever it is this easy, make sure you are running and gunning for all the marks. Determine in minutes. Look at that. Time is now being incorporated, okay? Time is now being incorporated into data handling. So don't say we're going to have a time question or we're going to have a whatever question. All these are always incorporated into each other. So you need to know time. You need to know how to convert your time. It's very important for you to know your time conversions. Now we are being asked time in minutes and we were given time in hours. Let's go see how we do this one. So it says to us, determine in minutes. So it means that your answer has to be in minutes or you are going to lose your marks. Determine in minutes the average time per mark. So we want average time per mark. Per, I always say to learners, indicates that you are going to be dividing something. Okay? So the average time per mark required for this paper. So let's go see the time that is required for this paper. Average time is 3 hours, but we want this 3 hours to be in minutes. How do you convert hours to minutes? So you say 3 hours, and then you say how many minutes do you have in 1 hour? You multiply that by 60 minutes because you have 60 minutes in 1 hour. From the top of my head, that would be 6, 12, 18, 180 minutes. You can go and just check it with your calculator. 180 minutes. And they say to us time per mark. So I know per mark is going to be what I'm dividing it by. How many marks do I have? I have 150 marks. So I go and I divided time per mark. Look at the way that I am emphasizing these words. Time per mark. Okay, let's go and divide that and just see what it's going to give us. 180 divided by 150, which then gives you 1.2. So that means it's 1 minute. I want to show you something. You could say 1.2 minutes, but you're not really sure what 1.2 minutes is. So if you said 1 minute, then you would be left with, I'm going to make it a little thing on the corner there, 0.2. That 0.2 is this 2 over here. And if you multiply that by 60, it will give you seconds. Let's go see if this works out. But you can leave it as 1.2. And the reason why I say you can leave it as 1.2, you don't want to be stuck in a hole there now where you can't do whatever. 0.2 times 60. Let's see if it will give me. There, 12 seconds. Stunning. So it's 1 minute and 12 seconds. Why did I do that? I did that because you never know whether one day they're going to ask you to leave your answer in minutes and then seconds. If they ask you to do that, take that minute, take whatever that's the decimal, multiply it again by 60. That's going to give you your seconds. So now automatically we've got 1 minute and 12 seconds. So you need to know how to do these things, because you don't want to be stuck in a place where you're losing marks for things that you could have avoided.